What if just about everything you've ever been taught about money is wrong? Well, today we're diving into Robert Kiyosaki's legendary book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a book that basically takes all that conventional financial advice and flips it on its head, and it does it by telling the story of his two dads. So here's the setup. The author, Robert Kiyosaki, he essentially had two fathers growing up. There was his actual dad, a super educated guy who, believe it or not, really struggled with money. That's the poor dad. And then there was his best friend's dad, a high school dropout who ended up becoming a multi-millionaire. You guessed it, that's the rich dad. This crazy, unique situation gave him a front row seat to two completely opposite ways of thinking about money. And man, the advice they gave was night and day. Poor dad preached what we all hear, right? The traditional path. Get a safe job, climb the ladder, find security. But rich dad? He was all about creation and ownership. He'd say, don't just find a job, build businesses and learn to invest. This clash right here, it's really the heart of the entire book. And this disagreement went so much deeper than just careers. It was about the very meaning of wealth. I mean, take the family home. For poor dad, it was his castle, his biggest asset. But for rich dad, it was a liability. A liability. Just that one idea is enough to make you question a huge piece of the classic middle-class dream. So imagine you're 9 years old, and you have to make this choice that's going to define your entire financial future. Do you follow the safe, well-worn path of your highly educated poor dad? Or do you take a chance on the road less traveled, the one your rich dad is pointing to? That's the journey we're on right now. That decision led Kiyosaki straight to one of the book's most famous and, frankly, most terrifying concepts, the rat race. Rich Dad explained that most people are trapped in this financial hamster wheel, and the craziest part is, they don't even know it. And here's how that trap works. You get a job to make some money. You get a little raise, you feel good, so you buy a nicer car or a bigger house. But guess what? That comes with bigger bills. So now you've got to work even harder, maybe get a second job just to keep up. It's this endless, exhausting cycle of just working for money, but never, ever actually getting ahead. So what's the engine driving this whole thing? According to Rich Dad, it all comes down to two very powerful emotions. You've got fear, the fear of not being able to pay your bills. That's what gets you out of bed and to your job every day. But then you get that paycheck and greed, or let's just call it desire, kicks in. You start dreaming about all the cool stuff you can buy. And that 1-2 punch of fear and desire keeps that wheel spinning forever. And this is why, for Rich Dad, a job is just a Band-Aid. Yeah, it feels safe, it solves this month's problems for sure, but it does absolutely nothing to solve the real long-term problem of how to build actual wealth. All it does is keep you running on that treadmill. Okay, so if you're in the rat race, how do you get out? Well, Rich Dad had one single fundamental rule. This is the big one. It's the one thing he said separates the rich from everybody else, and it's the foundation for his entire way of thinking. It all boils down to this really simple question. Now, I know, it sounds like something from Accounting 101, but the way Rich Dad explains it, well, let's just say it's a total game changer. Getting this right is the key to everything. And here's the answer. Rule number 1. You have to know the difference between an asset and a liability, and you have to buy assets. See, the rich spend their lives buying assets. The poor and the middle class? They spend their lives buying liabilities that they think are assets. That little distinction is huge. Now, forget all the complicated jargon. Rich Dad kept it incredibly simple. An asset is anything at all that puts money into your pocket. That's it. It's all about cash flow. Does it make you money? It's an asset. And a liability? Well, it's the complete opposite. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. Again, it's all about the direction the cash is flowing. That is the entire difference. Simple, right? And this is where it gets really controversial because it brings us back to that bombshell idea from the beginning. By this simple definition, your house, the one you live in, is a liability. Why? Because every single month it's taking money out of your pocket. Think about it. The mortgage, the property taxes, the insurance, the repairs. It's a cash drain, not a cash source. All right, so the goal is to buy assets. Got it. But what's the game plan? How do we do that? Rich Dad's next lesson was simple. Mind your own business. And no, he didn't mean go start a company in the traditional sense. It's a bit more clever than that. To make his point, Kiyosaki tells this great story about Ray Kroc, the guy who founded McDonald's. Someone once asked him what business he was in, and Kroc didn't say hamburgers. He said, "My business is real estate." See, his profession was selling burger franchises, but his real business, the thing making him truly rich, was owning the valuable land under every single one of those golden arches. And that story just nails the key difference, doesn't it? Your profession is what you do to earn a paycheck. You could be a pilot, a writer, a software engineer, but your business is your asset column. So when Rich Dad says mind your own business, he means spend your time and money building up that column of assets, totally separate from whatever you do for a living. So what kind of real assets are we talking about here? Well, it's stuff that makes money for you. Things like rental properties that bring in monthly checks, stocks, bonds, or maybe you own a business that runs without you having to be there every day. Even things like royalties from a book or a song. These are the things that put money in your pocket while you sleep. But wait, how do you even find these assets? How do you know a good deal from a bad one? Well, the last piece of this puzzle isn't some secret stock tip. It's actually about developing your own financial genius. It's about training your brain to see the opportunities that other people miss. And this, right here, is probably the most powerful idea in the whole book. Your job can disappear, your stocks can crash, but your financial education, your knowledge of how money really works, that is the one asset that nobody can ever take away from you. Your mind, when you train it, is the ultimate machine for creating wealth. So how do you start training it? The book lays out a few practical steps. Number 1, pay yourself first. That means before you pay a single bill, you take money and put it into your asset column. Then, work to learn, not just to earn. Pick jobs that will teach you valuable skills, like sales or marketing, not just the ones with the biggest paycheck. And finally, master a formula. Find one strategy, like buying rental properties, and get really, really good at it. At the end of the day, this is the bottom line. It's not about your salary. We've all heard those stories, right? The pro athlete or the lottery winner who makes millions and goes completely broke. Why does that happen? Because a huge income means nothing if you don't know what to do with it. Financial intelligence isn't about how much you make, it's about how much you keep, and more importantly, how hard that money works for you. And that brings us to the final big question that this book just forces you to ask yourself. Almost everyone is taught how to work hard for money. That's the whole system. But the real path to freedom, the escape from the rat race, is learning how to flip that around. It's all about figuring out how to build and buy assets so that eventually your money starts working hard for you.